Well, there you have it, the latest domino to fall in the gaming industry. Microsoft has finally announced some price increases essentially all across the board, across consoles, accessories, and games. But guys, they understand these changes are challenging. Yeah. Okay. So basically, there are new prices for essentially the entire Xbox product line except for Game Pass. And we'll talk about that in a second here. But let's see what the changes actually consist of. And by the way, this is effective as of today, May 1st, 2025. So, the Xbox Series X, not really a big fan of that console just because from everything I've heard, I'm not an expert by any means, but it sounds like this has actually hindered a lot of the cross compatibility performance and essentially the general compatibility of a few big games. And it just makes it a lot more difficult for developers to make things also compatible with the Series S. But, at its $299 launch price point, it was a damn good deal. And during the holidays, it would be, I think at some point, it was like $250 or something like that. So getting that and, using it for Game Pass, awesome deal in my opinion. But I wouldn't even bother looking at it at 370. Like, it's just, I don't even want to waste energy and oxygen talking about it. So we'll move on to the real Xbox Series X and I guess this whatever Galaxy. That thing didn't appeal to me anyway. It was just a digital 2 terabyte console that they wanted $600 for. Now they want $730. The Series X with a disk drive is $600, which is a $100 increase or about 20%. I didn't think I'd be saying this right now, but I'm heavily considering going and getting a PS5 Pro because once Sony sees this, they're trying to make some money, especially after what happened last year. They got to make some money back. So honestly, I didn't think I'd be saying this, but the PS5 Pro may be a good deal with these prices out there. Now, we'll talk about the PS5 here in a second, but controllers and headsets. So I think the core controller was $64.99. It could have been $59.99. I don't know. Maybe it went up a few bucks. Maybe it didn't. But I know for a fact that the special edition and the limited edition controllers, they've gone up by $10 each. The Elite Series 2 core and full has gone up by $10 and $20 respectively. I think the headset's gone up like $5, and the wireless headset, maybe that was $10 increase. But these have definitely changed Microsoft's product offering at this point. So a couple things to think about when it comes to these price hikes, because there's always, with a company as big as Microsoft, they don't just make decisions off of a whim. I was reading their earnings here and some of the news that they published as a result of those earnings. And the biggest headline from their earnings was that overall Xbox revenue is up, hardware sales were down, but the crazy one here is PC Game Pass was up 45% year over year. And that was straight from Satya Nadella. This is a Reddit post. I'm assuming it's correct. But think about it. PC Game Pass came out in 2017. And to have a year over year 45% increase is wild. And, last year, Microsoft started going into this whole ad campaign, like everything's an Xbox, right? So I think PC Game Pass is like $11.99 a month. Yes, it's $11.99 a month. And you get 440 games that you can have access to. So once you think about what the price hike for the hardware looks like, they probably had some saturated market, like how many more Xbox sales are they really going to get? The sales were already starting to taper off a little bit. So the price hike probably doesn't, it's really no skin off their back. They're probably thinking, okay, the small amount of sales we're getting anyway, even if they dwindle some, we might be able to drive this business over to Game Pass. And especially PC Game Pass, because once you get to a certain price point with consoles, the argument becomes, well, can't you just go build a PC and now you can go and play all kinds of other games and get on Steam, and that's a whole new world. So I think there could be an angle here to essentially continue this marketing campaign of everything's an Xbox and really pushing especially PC Game Pass, because their efforts must have been pretty successful to be up 45% year over year. I mean, that's pretty insane to me. So that's what I'm thinking is going on here, because of course, the tariffs are also a convenient reason to increase your prices. I mean, all of this stuff is being manufactured in China. I think the consoles went up by 20%, and I think there's like 145% tariff right now. So, that could change. That could change any day now. But how much you want to bet these prices? If that tariff goes down, these prices are going to stay the same, because they're also conditioning you for, I would assume, the next generation of consoles as well, even though Microsoft is sadly not really being as competitive in the console race. I really hope whatever is next gen, they still put quite a bit of effort into it. And there's a little bit of interesting light at the end of the tunnel, because the handheld has been a big topic of discussion with a co-branded kind of partnership device with Asus. So that could be pretty interesting. I don't know if it's just going to be like a Game Pass beast of a handheld machine, or will it also have some other kind of PC functions, or maybe you can even play Steam on it. But this is, I think, something that's going to be interesting in the next couple years, and it's probably not going to be cheap at this point. And then the next gen consoles are, I would assume, going to minimum start at $600-700. But back to what I was saying a little while ago, when you look at these price points, I mean, unless you're really a big Game Pass fan, especially at $600-700, I mean, the PS5 Pro is looking mighty tasty right now. I know I was thinking about getting one before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, just to kind of experience that in the best possible way. Yeah, it's looking a little interesting. And, we're just talking about hardware here. We didn't even talk about games. That's right. Games. Those are now going to be $80 on Xbox consoles starting this holiday. And I guarantee PlayStation and Sony are next to announce this. I mean, Nintendo was kind of the evil villain announcing their plans first with their console, and they sold out immediately. Nobody cared. They were just like, okay, I'm going to pre-order my Switch 2, $450, whatever, let's go. And whatever games come with it, I'll do that. But, I'm sure that I'm talking in the perspective of the gamer. Of course, I also pre-ordered mine, and I got the bundle, so I saved some money on the Mario Kart game. But anyway, yeah, Nintendo started the war, and Microsoft is rising to the occasion here. I think Sony's next. So that kind of gets me to my main point here, which, let's say these hardware sale or these hardware price increases drive people to more subscription-based services, which have a flat rate and give you all this access. And, think about it like, $80 can get you quite a few months of PC Game Pass. But what do you think is now going to happen to Game Pass? You get a bunch of new people on Game Pass, and then boom, increase your population on Game Pass, then increase the price. Because I recently was curious. I'm like, how do game developers get paid on Game Pass? Well, it turns out there is some formula, which I'd love to nerd out and back into that one day. But Microsoft has calculated essentially a playtime formula. So the amount of time that people spend playing certain games, that game developer gets compensated accordingly based off of the monthly reoccurring revenue that comes from Game Pass. So if you drive all these people over to Game Pass, because all your hardware and games bought individually are quite expensive, and then you raise the price of your Game Pass service across the board, you are raking in money at that point. But, this is just a little bit of speculation from me. And times are tough, honestly. Just reading the comments you guys leave on my videos. I mean, I'm a small entity here, but I see that there's a lot of people that are just like, man, things are just getting too expensive, and it's honestly, it's kind of taking the fun out of the hobby. I really, it makes me sad to see, like people are contemplating, like even on my PlayStation Portal video that I made, a lot of people were like, oh, is it worth getting this and just getting, PlayStation Plus Premium, so I can play, you know, cloud streaming instead of buying a PS5. Like, you know, people want to game, and they want to do it in a way that is high fidelity, but also doesn't destroy their pockets. So, I mean, no matter how you split it, it's not really looking great for the price points and the cost of entry into gaming. I'm hoping at the end of things, you know, we all win as consumers, but I don't know. That's maybe naive optimism here. Figured I'd at least give you my take on this one, but yeah, the hardware is getting more expensive. So that's all from me on this one. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see how the next couple weeks go. I'm curious how Sony's going to react to this one. But okay, guys, until the next one, peace. Oh, and like and subscribe.